Good evening, Open Spokes. It is Tuesday. At least it is still Tuesday by my watch, and I'd like to be able to talk about the future of education in the next 5 years, but I don't want to ignore what's going on in the wider world and the context for this conversation. Rather, I'd like to address it by focusing in on the next 5 years of education and thinking through how it is that we can make sure that this doesn't occur within our schools, this doesn't occur within our society, and actually build an education system that puts an end to this type of terror. So, what does it look like? Well, I think that in 5 years' time, our learning environments will look a lot more personalized. Just as everything is getting more personal, our personal devices are much more personal than they ever have been before. They are more designed to us. But in terms of personalization, I'm not quite as interested in the idea that the content will be better matched to our needs or something like that, but that actually the relationships are more personalized. And I think that that's actually where we end up going, where we get into groups, these affinity groups, or groups of people that are focused on the same sorts of problems and solving those problems. And I actually think that in 5 years, we're going to be solving more problems within education, that we're actually going to have students and teachers solving bigger problems than just how do we differentiate with data. And to me, that's the most engaging part. And so if we take a look at a mentorship, or if we take a look at better grouping based upon the relationship of need and the needs of relationships, if we take a look at that future, that's what 5 years into the future looks like, is how do we make those relationships better and actually mentor people through their learning process and make sure that they are matched to the right people, to help them grow and to make it so that people don't feel alienated and don't feel the need to lash out into something that is destructive, into something that really does feel like you are creating an us versus them environment. And I think that if we can create that sort of 5 year plan, if we can create that sort of personalization where we're not just looking at our devices and saying this is how they are personalized for our use, but rather we're taking a look at our relationships, at our connections, at our groups of people that are solving big problems or solving small problems or solving curriculum problems. If we are saying that that becomes a personalized and that actually we are going to cater to the needs of the individual, I think that we solve this issue of bullying that is so rampant within schools, within society at large. And I do think that that's what this was, is an act of bullying. It is the bully that is trying to get their point across but doesn't know how, and really doesn't have a connection to anyone else or to humanity in any kind of way. If we can make those connections better, if we can make it so that each individual has a way forward, has a connection to somebody else, has a mentor, has that connection to the technology that gives them the wider perspective on the world rather than a myopic perspective and really only looking at their own context. If we can do that, then 5 years out, we don't have a lot of these issues. If we can do that on a larger scale. And so that's what I'd like to help figure out. How do we make that happen in 5 years? How do we make the relationships and the personalization go beyond just content personalization or device personalization? Or making sure the stream of data that comes to us really informs just that one individual. How do we make that happen? So to me, that's a direction that I definitely like to go in. If you have ideas, please leave them in the comments. And thank you so much for watching the Fellowship of Open Spokes. Kind of excited. I'll see you tomorrow.